There are people in our country that believe masculinity is toxic, and they want to redefine what it means to be a man. But we need to let men be men. Welcome to another episode of Counterthought. Masculinity is under attack. I've dedicated a couple episodes talking about feminism and standing up for biological women and what it is that the progressive and radical leftists want to do to, or are doing to, biological women with the policies and that they support and the radical changes that they want to continue to make in this country. But I have not done an episode about masculinity, which is hard to believe for myself personally, because I'm a man. So why haven't I talked about being a man? Why haven't I stood up for men, so to speak? So that's what this episode is about. We're going to talk about masculinity. We're going to talk about what it means to be a man. Some of the movements that are currently underway that are pro-men, pro-masculinity, standing up for masculinity. And then we're going to talk about some of these, not the side effects, but the sadness that comes as well regarding men. Places and instances where we need to be doing more advocacy for men and support men as they go through their life. Because as you'll see, I'm going to share some statistics with you regarding suicide in men. And I think these numbers are going to shock you. But first off, what does it mean to be a man? Well, men are naturally, inherently, protectors, providers, hunter-gatherers. They are builders. They are chivalrous. You hear that word, chivalry. Chivalry is dead. No, it's not. No, it's not. It might be in a lot of men. People might be trying to make it dead, but it's not dead. And men also are aggressive when they need to be aggressive. One of the more famous clips from Jordan Peterson, whether you like him or not, it's called To Be a Monster. And it is a masculine motivator. It's part of a series of his. And he's talking about be a monster. Another quote that's out there is, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. So be a monster. You need to be a monster when it comes to doing what you need to do. But also you need to be able to harness that. Harness being a, quote, monster, and use it when it is appropriate. But men, by nature, we are protectors. We are providers. Going back through the thousands and thousands of years, it was the men doing the hard physical labor. It was the men who were out there fishing and hunting, gathering food for their families. It was the men that were building cities, building empires. And you might say, oh, well, women could have helped with that. Sure, they could have learned these trades just like they can learn the trades today. And we'll get into that here a little bit later. But that isn't the way it was set up. That is not the way it was set up. And then you fast forward to today, and you have radicals out there that are, attacking men and just making it seem, or trying to make it seem to men as if they provide no value at all. There's this viral TikTok video that's been stitched probably 100,000, maybe a million times. I've seen it pop up on my For You page, my FYP, where this girl starts in the first 5 seconds of the clip, before the stitch is, basically, men, what do we need you for? And then boom, stitch. Someone comes in supporting men, just, basically saying, here are all the reasons why, or here are specific instances why, specific reasons why men are important. Just look at it, all of these different trades and everything else, like 90+% are men. Could women do the jobs? Sure. Do they want to do the jobs? Ask around? No. And one of the things, or one of the defenses for men is, oh, if you are anti, men and think that men don't need to be provide any value in your life, then do you take the time to call around when you need like a plumber or a mechanic, or you know something added on to your house, you need some work done to your house, maybe a remodel? Do you call around and actually try to find a woman who can do that work? Oh, you don't. Oh, you don't. So you just so you just need a man when it is convenient for you, but you won't actually admit that men are valuable. And that is this mentality when you go to the progressive left and the radical liberals, is that men are not valuable. We don't need men, is what you hear, which is totally ridiculous. But I think that mentality has come about because it is these same individuals who are, progressive and on their fourth, fifth wave of feminism, trying to make a woman be the equivalent in all things to a male, when there is no shame, no harm, no foul. Like, it is, women are meant to do certain things and men were designed to do certain things. If you are a Christian, you know that. And again, it is by nature, it is internal, it is hormones, it is, our chemical makeup. Men and women are different. Men have certain traits that are utilized for thousands of years, utilized to this day, that women do not, and women have traits that men do not. So women have things they are good at, men have things they are good at, and both when are in harmony, right? They should be in harmony with one another. But this attack on men and masculinity really ramped up going back a few years ago. I think it was about 5 years ago, with the whole toxic masculinity. And what that was tied to was the whole Harvey Weinstein and being exposed for using his power in Hollywood as an executive producer to get actresses to sleep with him, to do some type of sexual act to him, perform some kind of sexual act in order to get a role, get an audition for the numerous movies that he produced. That Harvey Weinstein, jail and everything else, withering away, all that. We're not going to talk about him. But that was attached to or started this whole toxic masculinity. Like, toxic masculinity basically is you can have too much masculinity, where you are too masculine, meaning, hey, you don't know how to dial it back. You are providing bad energy. You are attacking women. You are doing bad instead of doing good with your masculinity. You just totally discount women. You don't care about them. That you think that they're second rate, stuff like that. Or you are being too aggressive, especially when it comes to making a move on a woman. You're being too aggressive, and what that leads to, could far into the scale, that could lead to some type, to rape or something like that. That is toxic masculinity. And that movement, I guess, lasted for about a year or so, but it has since died down. But we still hear the term today. It's tossed around. This is toxic masculinity. This is toxic masculinity. We don't need our boys to act like this because they're going to come up and be toxic males. When what it's now being associated with is just all of the things that men are naturally supposed to do. Again, it is within our DNA, our chemical makeup, such as, being a protector, being a provider, and doing certain things that are required in order to be a protector and be a provider, be a hunter, a gatherer, be a builder, have honor, be chivalrous when you are courting or dating a woman, these types of things. But now you have a couple key, I guess, the more popular men who are speaking on behalf of other men and advocating for masculinity. You have Andrew Tate. He's been all over TikTok, and YouTube's banned from, I believe, both of them, probably also Instagram, I think basically every social media platform, because the radical liberals that are in charge of these platforms don't like what he is saying. Yeah, he has a certain way he says things, but what he is saying is he is advocating for men to be men, not to be beta males, be alpha males. Turn back the clock, so to speak, and be a man. We need men to be men. And then the other is Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson, whether you like him or not, his most recent viral clip is his interview with Piers Morgan. He did an interview with Piers Morgan this past week, and Piers Morgan asked him, hey, Olivia Wilde, she just has this new movie coming out, and she says that the antagonist in that movie is based off of you. Talking about Jordan Peterson. You as the person who is standing up for, as Olivia Wilde says, these incels, these disparaged men, young men, but men who don't have hope. They're trying to play the game. They're trying to meet a woman, but they are not as attractive as maybe other males. They're not as strong as other males. They're not motivated. Their situations are just, maybe at a C level, a D level, and how are they supposed to compete with A level, B level competition and things like that? And then it just continues to pound and pound and pound on these young men, and then they feel like as if they have no chance, they have no meaning, they have no purpose in life. And in that interview with Piers Morgan, Jordan Peterson, he gets choked up about it. Piers asks him, does that bother you that the antagonist in the movie is based on you? And does it bother you with what Olivia Wilde said? And he's just like, Jordan Peterson just kind of, sits back in his chair. He's like, sure, whatever. Once I was compared to be, I don't think it was the red dragon, but he was compared to be basically like the devil for everything that he says. He's like, what is another insult? But then Jordan Peterson did get emotional. He did get choked up because he started talking about these young men that he is standing up for. And he's like, I thought we were supposed to stand up for those who need it most. But because you don't like these men and you have the wrong perception of them and the perception of me, you are now attacking me for standing up for people that you say we need to be standing up for, disparaged people that need help, people who are in dire straits, not only maybe like their environment, but especially mentally. And you could see it, obviously, because it was a video interview, and you could hear it in his voice of, he was tearing up because he was like, his heart was continuing to break for these individuals, these men that he stands up for and tries to motivate, to encourage, to be, to maybe make life changes and to be comfortable being a man and what a man is supposed to be, and go out and improve your life. If there are things that are bringing you down, that are holding you back, remove those things from your life. Go out and change your life. You have the power to do it regardless of your circumstances. But that now is being, depending where you are and how you view masculinity, that's not okay now. And men being told, oh, you're not valuable. Oh, you can't do this. Oh, what you're actually doing when you are being a man is actually considered, to me, I consider it toxic. All of this hate towards men and just masculinity, it leads to this weight on the men's shoulders and in their minds, and this defeatedness. And it leads to high levels of suicide. This information comes from the CDC information, then it comes from the American Federation for Suicide Prevention, like AFSP.org. Here's some suicide statistics for men. So suicide across, and this is just in the United States, and this is data from 2020. Suicide as a whole across men and women is the 12th leading cause of death. The highest rate of suicide in men in the United States in 2020 was middle-aged men. So think early 40s to late 50s. White males in 2020 accounted for 69% of suicides. 69% of suicides were white males in 2020. And then men die across all ages. Men die in 2020 by suicide 3.88 times more than women. And you look, okay, well, look at the support networks that are in place for men versus women. Women come on a hard time, women's shelters, maybe move in with their parents, get the help of their mother. If they, I don't advocate for this, but, unplanned or unwanted, I should say, unwanted pregnancy, they have a pathway for that. If they are married, get a divorce, unless there's a prenup, 50%, get alimony checks, get child support. Men, you would be paying the alimony checks typically. You would be paying the child support, which you should, but there aren't really men's centers, men's homes and stuff like that. If you come down on a hard time, if you are out of work, you're expected to go get the next job. A lot of women nowadays, especially younger women, have this perception that what they would be satisfied with or what they desire in a man when it comes to his job and his salary is that they want a man who makes six figures. When I heard that only about 2 to 4% of all men in the United States earn a six-figure salary. So then you have all of these younger women who say, oh, I want a man who makes six figures, but only 2 to 4% of these men make six figures. So you have all of these millions of women, let's say, wanting just 2 to 4% of men. The competition is fierce, and if you lose, depending on your mentality and your mental strength, you could easily start going down and feeling defeated, self-loathing and all of that, become disparaged. And again, like those young men I was just talking about that Jordan Peterson is standing up for, and trying to encourage, you could easily become just like that. And then this demon will continue to eat away at you, and you could become part of the suicide statistics. Again, in 2020, men died of suicide 3.88 times more than women. The highest rate, middle-aged white men. What's going on at that time? It could be loss of a job. You're in your career. Maybe you lose your job. You lose your career. Could be a divorce. Could be anything from health-related issues. Something like you're supposed to be having prostate exams. You could be suffering from ED. It could be whatever. It could be alcoholism. A variety of things. And then again, white males, they're suffering from suicide or victims. They're committing suicide more than any other race. 69%, again, in 2020 of suicides were committed by white males. So what can we do? What can we continue to do to stand up for masculinity, to be okay with it? Again, I'm on TikTok and I waste way too much time going through all these videos. But a lot of the videos that do pop up in my timeline, there is encouragement. There are these male advocates, and then there are also dad advocates or dadvocates as they're called. And they're advocating for, they're supporting, and they're encouraging men and trying to, like, some explain what men do, to other women, so to help women understand them. Others are like, hey, if you see, a husband or a father doing this, like he's trying his best, you need to love and support him, and here's some ways in which you can do that. There are women who are these dadvocates or, madvocates, I guess, man advocates. There are also men doing these same things. So that is encouraging. Trying to support and encourage one another is definitely a step that needs to be taken. We also need to be okay with what a man is by design. Again, we are protectors, providers, hunter-gatherers. We are builders. We are aggressive. We are bigger. We are stronger. We are faster. There are roles that we need to play. If you are a Christian, the man has a role. God designed a man to be the way that he is supposed to be, and same for a woman. So we need to continue to encourage and stand up and be advocates for men, for those who are doing awesome in life, succeeding in life. They're living this elite lifestyle, all the way down to the men who are suffering and contemplating suicide. We need to have additional support structures. Again, there are numerous more support structures for women than men. There should probably be the equal number of support structures. Men, we don't talk about our feelings as much. Women are more emotional beings. Men are not. So if a man, and this ties back to suicide and those rates in the amount of suicide deaths, men aren't just going to talk about what's bothering them, which isn't great, right? It's to the detriment of men, because you can just continue to pile on yourself, self-loathing, downward spiral, and take your own life. So we need to have these structures in place: mental health awareness, make it okay to be able to have conversations with counselors, psychiatrists, psychologists, whatever you need, life coach, to lift these burdens off of the shoulders of men. And again, to be okay with how men were designed to be okay with those roles. We don't need to be progressive. Again, right? This is a conservative. Conservative is not a political party. Conservatism is an idea. It is about traditionalism. It is about ordered liberty. We don't need to continue to progress down the road just because we want to go farther down the road, even though what we're trying to do, or what some are trying to do, isn't actually providing any benefit, isn't actually making an improvement. I want to turn back the clock. I want to turn back the clock to embracing men as men. Not only because that is what a man needs, but I believe also in this country that is what our country needs. We don't see the leadership that we once had from men. I'm sure those men, or I should say those men are out there, but there's games you have to play to maneuver your way into leadership positions. And the way where the power rests and where it rests, it's those who could be fantastic leaders are not leading the structures and the systems of our country. So then that trickle-down effect, and it just spreads this watered-down version of masculinity. We don't need watered-down version of masculinity. We need an energized, a charged-up Red Bull version of masculinity to restore what we once had within this country. We need men in their traditional roles. We need women in their traditional roles. We need the two to work together to produce harmony, not only for individuals, but for the family and for our country at large. Hi, I'm Brian Kletter, the creator and host of the Counterthought Podcast. Thank you for watching this video. Remember to like it, and then also check out these two videos and subscribe to the channel. For more daily content from me, you can find me on Instagram at CounterThoughtCEO, and the official Counterthought Instagram page at counter_thought. Thank you for watching, and spread the word.